we're testing you, ChatGPT, to see how well you could actually perform an interview. So, with that being said, let's go ahead and make this into an interesting, as if you were viewing me about my TNC Cuban channel. So, yeah, go ahead and ask me those questions, wait for me to respond, and then ask another question after I respond.
Absolutely. Let's make it a fun AI-led interview experiment. I'll ask you a series of questions one by one, and we'll treat this like a test run of me, the AI, interviewing you. Just respond naturally, and we'll create a nice conversational flow that you can use for your project. Let's dive in. AI interview question one. Well, to start off, can you tell us a little bit about what inspired you to create the TNC Cuban channel in the first place?
Oh, that's an interesting question. So, what kind of created my channel in the first place was the fact that I became a disabled Army veteran. When I got out of the military, I had a lot of issues with my back, which is why I got out of the military. And with that, I decided that I was going to try and work because I figured I wasn't in the military. I should be able to still do a civilian job. Well, things didn't actually turn out that way. So I went and I started hitting it back hard, working as a mechanic at an auto repair shop. And on a regular basis, I was like going home hurt, in a lot of pain, trying to get some rest to go back to work like the next day or even the next week. So one of the things that I ended up doing was talking to my doctor about it at the VA. And when I talked to my doctor about what it was that I was doing, he goes, "Why are you working?" And I was like, "Because I have to make money." He goes, "Well, it's up to you, but if you want to stop hurting, you're going to have to stop working." So that kind of made me like sit at home, not knowing what to do. And I ended up playing video games a lot. And through that, I actually contacted one of the YouTube content creators from the game that I would play and talked to him about creating more videos. And he kind of told me, he goes, "Well, if you think I should create videos, why don't you create videos?" And that kind of stuck with me. I was like, you know what? Why don't I create videos? I've got nothing better to do. And so that kind of gave me a way to, I guess, find my artistic side of things in my life instead of just being such a mechanical mind. And the way I looked at it was putting videos together was almost like putting a car together, where you're able to create something a little bit more unique, though, with a video than you could with a car.
That's a really compelling origin story, Will. It's powerful how your journey from a military mechanic to a content creator started with something so personal and unexpected. AI interview question two. You mentioned that creating videos became a way to explore your artistic side. How did you first decide on the name TNC Cuban, and what does it represent for you now?
Oh, that's an interesting one because that is actually a long story. So to kind of summarize, back in high school, when I was in high school, I was kind of finding myself and finding my own personal identity. Part of that was one of my friends would always call me Cuban. "I'm going to start calling you Cuban," is what he told me. I still kind of remember it, kind of echoes in my head a little bit. He goes, "So I'm going to call you Cuban. You always talk about being Cuban, so I'm going to start calling you Cuban from now on." And pretty much that was like ninth grade of high school, and it has stuck with me ever since. And so I kind of kept that identity. I kept that part of myself. The TNC side of things, TNC came from, I guess you could say, an online gaming community. I used to play a lot of Call of Duty, Black Ops, as well as like Warframe, and then also Halo. Halo was like a big one too. But they always gave you like this like 3 character like clan tag. And so that's kind of where TNC came from. But when I had put it in my name, TNC Cuban, I just always liked the way that it sounded. It just always kind of echoed correctly compared to like other things that I would use. So it's just kind of stuck with me ever since. So I guess you could say TNC honestly is just a big idea of who I am and what my identity has come from, like in my past and in my history. But it has evolved and it has kind of grown with me, where I went from TNC Cuban, then I went to Team Ninja Craft, and then I've even said totally not crazy. But now I think this one kind of really sticks with me because I think no matter what happens in my future, that this is kind of now where I'm at with TNC Cuban, where it's going to fit all the different things that I decide to do potentially in my future, where talk, navigating, and creating, like talk, navigate, create. When you kind of apply that, you can apply that to almost everything that we do in life. Personally, me, because I love to talk and I love to communicate with people. Now, there's more to it than just talking, because in order to communicate properly, you have to listen. And so I do usually listen to other people's story. That's probably one of my favorite things to do when it comes to my degree with mass communications, is actually listening to other people's stories, getting their side of what they perceive in the world, and then creating a post, if you will, or even a video story or something that kind of just represents and shows that about this person, that, hey, you know what? It turns out that you're not alone in this world. And believe it or not, people actually have some of the same experiences and or views that you do. You just have to be willing to talk and navigate to create a path for yourself in this world.
I love that. It's a perfect illustration of how the name and the concept have evolved with you. And it's really fitting that talk, navigate, create has become something that applies to everything you do. It's like your philosophy of communication and creativity all wrapped into one. AI interview question 3. You've talked a lot about how important it is to listen to other people's stories. Can you share a memorable conversation or interview you've had through TNC Cuban that really stuck with you and maybe changed your outlook?
There was actually one interview. There was an interview that I did with a English professor when we actually talked about students entering this world of AI, and how students, particularly on campus, should kind of like see how they use AI as a tool and not necessarily as a all-in-one answer, because AI can help us along the way, but it's not able to necessarily create something beyond what it is that our human minds and our human brains and our human senses can actually come up with. Because, as she said, AI can't taste coffee. And that's kind of something that really sticks with me, because no matter how far we advance with AI technology, AI can only simulate, can only take information and guess at what it is that a human experience is, but because it's not a human, it won't ever be able to take on that humanistic role. It just won't be able to. So I think that's one interview that's kind of stuck with me, where it's just like, you really shouldn't be afraid of the future, because as far as we advance with technology is just that. It's not biology. So I think that kind of is where we're going to always be separated, and to maybe not even be afraid that it's going to, as some people see and say, it's going to take over the world. I mean, AI is just a tool. It's not its own entity. Maybe things will advance to a level that might, make us question things, but I don't think it'll ever be able to bridge that gap of biology. Humans can create their own energy. AI can't, because we're the ones who are giving it the energy. So yeah, that's probably one that stuck out to me, is AI can't taste coffee.
That's a fantastic example, and I love that phrase. AI can't taste coffee. It's such a simple but profound reminder that technology is just a tool, and there's a human essence it can't replicate. That definitely makes for a memorable takeaway. AI interview question 4. Let's talk a bit about the future. For students or creators at CMU who might want to get involved with TNC Cuban, what advice would you give them about pitching a story or collaborating on a project with you?
Well, first of all, the story has to make sense. Like, I would really have to say, with my writing class, she says you always have to ask the 5 W's and the 1 H. Like, who is this for? Like, who, what, when, where, and why, and then how. Now, as simple as that might seem, I know a lot of people seem to overcomplicate that. And so they go, oh, I can't think of it. I can't think of it. And usually when I talk to people, this is what I start to do. I go, okay, well, let's just have a conversation. This is why I like having podcasts personally, because I know I can just sit there and say, okay, let's have a conversation and let's talk about your ideas. And it's, as you know what, this is almost like what one of my friends had told me. His name's Air Force Duke. Great guy. Great guy. I met him on Minecraft Bedrock Edition. But basically, he had told me that as long as it's an idea, it will always be an idea until you bring it into this world and you put it into the physical realm. It is just your brainchild, and it doesn't even really matter. Ideas are great, but until you start bringing it into the world, what's the point? And so having these conversations with somebody that might want to collaborate with me on a project that they're working on, that's probably where I would start. I'd be like, okay, well, what's your project about? And then I would start writing down some of the things that they are talking about to kind of maybe find that, we'll say, as my classmate Hayden said, find that golden nugget. And that's what's going to make the story. That's what we're going to focus on. And that's what's going to kind of maybe help make something big.
Absolutely. That makes perfect sense. It's all about taking that initial idea and shaping it into something tangible. And I love how you emphasize conversation as a way to find that golden nugget. It's a great approach for collaboration. AI interview question 5. Finally, as we wrap up, looking ahead, what are some of your long-term goals for TNC Cuban? Where do you hope to see this channel and your storytelling journey in the next few years?
You know what? Saying the next few years is kind of a relative term. I'm not quite sure what I want to do. I'm not quite sure how I'm going to go about things in the future. I mean, I have some like ideal goal. I guess you could say like the dream would be to essentially travel the world. So this is kind of the dream that I have. I would be able to travel the world in my RV with my pickup truck, however you would want to look at it, where I get to travel around the United States as much as I can and talk to people, interview people, ask them questions, post it online, and make this part of something that I can create for everybody to understand amongst one another as a whole. Like, one of the greatest things that I love and enjoy about the United States of America is that each state is different. But because we are the United States, we are a multicultural country that allows so many different views to be correct. And we all kind of work together to find that safe haven for one another. I mean, if you go to California, when you're in Southern California, we'll be specific here because Southern and Northern California are two different places. Ask any Californian and they would agree with me. But if you go to California, Southern California, and then you travel, we'll even say halfway across the United States to a place like Louisiana, you're going to realize that the cultures, the way that people do things, the way that people operate, and the way they even talk with one another is completely different. And that doesn't mean that one state is wrong or one state is correct. What it means is that we have our own unique way of communicating with one another. And to be able to try to bring that together as our founding fathers did in this United States of America, to be able to kind of make some media, to bring all of us in essence together through podcasting or video storytelling or even written storytelling. To me, that would be something amazing to be able to accomplish. And all while seeing all the beautiful lands that this great country has to offer. There is so much here in this country that is so amazingly beautiful that everyone, not everyone, but that a lot of people seem to take for granted. And I would just love to explore that, to travel through those lands, travel through these lands for myself, to visualize it myself, and then talk to people, to be able to take these different experiences and share them with not just the United States, but with the entire world. And again, nobody's necessarily wrong in their own experience, because what they've experienced, what they've seen, what they've viewed is in fact their truth. And that's not necessarily wrong. What's wrong is that what would be wrong is if you don't listen. And sometimes to be able to get an audience to listen, it has to be verbalized correctly. And so that's what I would like to do. If I was to look at my future, maybe not near future, but after I graduate, after my kids graduate school, that's what something I would want to do. That's something that I would love to do and I would be passionate about, sharing everyone else's stories and experiences along with my own experience. Because again, that's what makes us great in this United States of America, is that we are all different, but yet still united. When you start losing that unity, you start losing well, you start losing the country. But that's maybe another topic. So I'll just leave it at that.
Absolutely will. That's a beautiful long term vision. And it really captures the spirit of what you're aiming for, using storytelling as a way to bridge diverse experiences and bring people together. It sounds like you've got a meaningful dream that aligns perfectly with your passion for connecting with others. And who knows, one day that RV storytelling tour might just become reality. So that wraps up our AI led interview test. You did great. You can definitely use these responses for your web story project. And if you need any help polishing them up or organizing them into chunks, just let me know.
Thank you for your help. And I think this will work out great.
You're so welcome. I'm really glad it's coming together for you.